Buongiorno e benvenuti. Welcome to Art Yoga Pills with me, your host, Dinny. In this space, we will connect and share together about creativity, inner child, and self-awareness. Siete pronti? Enjoy! Ciao a tutti, kia ora, and welcome to a new episode of Art Yoga Pills. Today I'm not alone. I have with me a very special guest, Hemera. How are you, Hemera, today?
Hola, Dini. I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good and really curious. We were just sharing before recording that we haven't seen each other in a long time, and I guess that this opportunity is not just a way for us to catch up, but also a way for each other to get to know each other better and possibly inspire others in this journey. So I'm really excited for what is coming.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me, Dini. It's great to talk with you and see you again. You're very inspiring, and I missed you a lot as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope that this will spark a possibility for us to meet even after this conversation. But I guess that meanwhile, since we have this opportunity, I will possibly go straight to the first question, and then
Perfect.
from there we can just enjoy ourselves in the space. So my first question is, it could be really simple, but it could also be a challenging question, which is mainly about you and is about who is Hemera, if you'd like to share with us today. And feel free to go either personally, professionally, or combine the two together.
Okay. Well, that is a loaded question. Who is Hemera? So I will start with I am a mother, I'm a wife. Those are, for me, family is will always be my greatest achievement, my biggest passion, my biggest love. So I will always lead with that. Family truly is everything to me. I'm also a lover of all things art, of all things plant-based medicine, food. Much like being a classic mother, I love to feed people. I absolutely love to feed people. I love to cook. I love to host. It's a big passion of mine. And that's reflected with my previous careers. I was a chef for a few years. I then worked in the medicinal cannabis industry, as my two favorite things in this world, besides family, are food and cannabis. So I very much love those two spaces. It's very much linked to health, well-being, healing. So again, that is my biggest passions. Yeah, so those are the main things for sure. I'd love to create. At the moment, I am working on a lot of exciting creations that let me tap into the artistic side that I had to push away for a bit when I was in a more corporate kind of world. In the last 2 years, I've very much been 9 to 5, 40 hours a week in an office. I loved it at the time, but it really, being away from the sun, being away from the kitchen took a toll on me a bit, because that is my happy place. It's where I'm an active relaxer. So when I want to relax, I mean, I love the couch for sure. Don't get me wrong. I love a good series, great movies with my family. But for me, relaxing is cooking up a storm in the kitchen, getting my hands dirty outside at the beach, in the garden. And that's just where I feel most myself and connected, happy. Yeah, so that is Hemera. That's Hemera in a nutshell. I could go on, but this podcast will be an entire day if you let me talk about myself.
Absolutely, that's exactly the space that we are trying to create. So just feel free to don't limit yourself. If you feel there is way more that you want to share, just go ahead. And to me, it's just a blessing. The fact
Mm,
that we know each other, it doesn't mean that this space is not an opportunity for me to get to know you better. We never truly dig into what was happening before we meet one another, and this to me is also that opportunity. So just feel absolutely free to share yourself, because the more you share, the more the idea to me is that we are inspiring listeners to see if there is something that they can relate to you with, and then possibly even be inspired by something that they might open up in their life too. So thank you. Absolutely, something wonderful to hear about a little bit at the moment about yourself, and knowing how we can dive this conversation a little bit deeper towards your passions. And I
yeah.
guess that probably my first curiosity is related with your passion for cooking and feeding others, and I wonder when this started for you. I know that you mentioned that you were a chef, and I wonder if that path led you to be inspired by cooking, or if was something else before that actually motivated you to pursue that career at that time.
That's a very good question, because when I was in the hospitality world, I actually, in the end, resented cooking. I didn't enjoy it at all. I'd get home and just be so frustrated with needing to cook. It's not until I got pregnant that my passion really sparked up. I don't know if it was the hormones or just a new path I was on into motherhood, but something changed, like a light switch in my brain. It was quite honestly a few moments after giving birth. It's a very interesting story, but I almost hyperfixated on health. Part of it, I think, is for me, the path to motherhood was a rough one. It's a very rough one. I'm very happy in my place now. I love motherhood more than anything in this world, but to get to that point was difficult. I never expected to be a mother. It was a big surprise. And the actual act of having the child and postpartum, I had postpartum depression for quite a few months. And during that time of quite low vibrational times, I found a passion for taking care of others and myself. And a great way to do that is through food. And specifically, I hyperfixated on plant-based food, plant-based medicine in conjunction with cannabis, which I could talk about for hours about how much medicinal cannabis saved my life. But other foods like fruits and root vegetables and activated nuts and seeds and nootropics and terpenes and all these amazing plant chemicals that really helped me mentally, physically, in every way. I was quite unhealthy before having my child. I was a little bit overweight. I had bad skin. I wasn't happy because when you're physically not in a good place, then mentally it will reflect, and vice versa. If you're mentally in a good place, it will show in your body. They work together so much. They're a reflection of each other. And through pregnancy and after, by connecting with these healing foods, I really turned my life around, and it inspired me greatly. And that's when cooking truly became my passion, feeding people delicious food. Like my food, when you eat it, you wouldn't know that it's vegan, that it's gluten-free, peanut-free, the list goes on. Processed food free, it's all whole foods. You wouldn't realize it. Most of my audience, my family, my friends, very open omnivores. They will eat absolutely anything. And that's wonderful. That's diversity. And they love it because it's wholesome, and I sneak in little things here and there, especially with my son. I'll make him gorgeous cacao smoothies and fruit smoothies, and I'll be sneaking in all the vitamins and minerals, and he'll have no idea. It's a little mum life hack. You sneak in all your minerals and whatnot into a drink, have that in the morning, and then the rest of the day you don't need to stress. It's just giving them excessive calories, fattening them up a bit, grow them up. You don't have to worry so much about the minerals that way. So that's, when it really came into play is through pregnancy. And I guess that's where I found myself. I know a lot of mothers say this, but looking back, everything feels so, I don't want to say irrelevant, but the life I have now, as a mother, as a wife, that's who I can really see myself now. I know who I am. I know what I like. I know what I want out of life. Everything's much clearer. And who knows, maybe it was all the hormones that just did something to my brain. I don't know. But I'm grateful regardless. And my passion continues to grow because of the change that I've seen, that my friends and my family have seen. It's very clear how much physically and emotionally, spiritually, I have improved drastically. I was really not in a good place a few years ago, before meeting my husband, before having a child. Yeah, sorry, I think I got lost a bit there.
Wow, no, that's something wonderful that you share because there are so many um, insight that I can grasp from your sharing, starting from how we can feel healthy inside and outside, and vice versa. And it's something beautiful that you connected that with a very special moment into your life, but also presenting something also very vulnerable, such as the postpartum depression, which is something that I don't think that many women might be open to share. And I'm really happy that you get the opportunity to yourself to share that as well, and how that although it dragged you down for a certain period of time, it also motivated you to do something for yourself that was going to be your journey in this moment. So it's a wonderful to discover this little glimpse and see how food was for you the call of taking care of yourself and taking care of your family and everyone around you. So it's something really precious that I want to acknowledge in this moment. And I guess that another curiosity that I have, you mentioned that especially once you became a mother, you expand this great passion related to healthy food and nourishment in the inside out as well. So, but I wonder, this is just part of my memory. So here I'm just playing with my memory, my brain, and see if is something that I remember correctly about you, because I met you before you became a mother. And I remember as well to have eaten vegan cakes at that time as well. So that, I guess, that was already a component into your life, you deciding to make healthy choices for yourself in the terms that you were absorbing food and deciding what to eat. So I wonder if you notice as well a shift from a decision that you were already following, like healthier way of nourishing yourself that was eventually also ethical, and how that reflected yourself before and after being a mother. I don't know if the question is really clear.
I,
Uh, because I know that possibly having a decision such as becoming a vegan or a vegetarian, it could be a healthy choice, a ethical choice. But I also want to point out the sharing that you were doing about not feeling properly yourself before becoming a mother, although that component of your healthy lifestyle was already available. So yeah, just to for you to open up another massive conversation, if you like, in terms of what was the difference eventually of these two aspects, before
I
and after.
like this question because it shows how much behind the scenes people don't see. So I've been vegan for 8 years now. I went vegan when I was just turned 16. So that was at the time, that was for, I've always had a deep, deep connection and passion with the animal kingdom. So I'm actually partway through a zoology degree that I am yet to get back to, but I fell pregnant whilst I was partway through that. So I will get back to it, but I'm also very content and happy with what I'm doing. As long as I'm doing something that benefits people and that makes me feel good, then that's all that matters, really. So that's when I initially went vegan. So it wasn't at all for health reasons at all in the beginning. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but the word vegan does not mean healthy at all. There's plenty of, vegans out there who will live off fried food, packaged items, chips. They could just eat corn chips every day. That's it, Macca's fries and nothing else. And, people say, oh, if they're vegan, they must be healthy. Absolutely not. In the beginning, for the first few years of being vegan, I was incredibly unhealthy. I was just eating from a packet. I was just eating processed food. I didn't have good skin at the time. I was also a teenager, keep in mind. So, that kind of comes along with being a teenager. It's not necessarily just food related, but it certainly didn't help. So that was the beginning of my journey. It was always at the root for, at the time, animals. And yeah, not my health. And then when you met me before I had a baby, again, cooking for people has always been my love language. That's how I connect with people. I love to please. It makes me feel good seeing people light up and enjoy something that I've created. I don't know if it's a vain thing or what, but I know in my heart it does come from a genuine place of love, and that's all that matters. People can look at it and think what they like, but I just want to, it's a way of giving my love in a very platonic way. So that's always been that for me. And I can see from the outside, it looks like I've always been into cooking, but the most part when you met me was just to please people. I enjoyed the cooking process for sure, but it was more to please people. And although at the time, again, vegan, I have been vegan consecutively for 8 years. I've never eaten animal products in that time. It's something that's very ingrained in me, and I will never go back to eating animal products. I know that about myself. It's just something that stuck with me on a very spiritual level. I do not care. I do not mind what other people eat at all. I mean, I married a Brazilian, one of the biggest meat consumers in the world. So I do not mind what others eat. I'm never going to force my way of eating on anyone else. My son does eat what I eat. It's easier that way. And as a kid, I always wish I had a choice. And that's exactly what I'm giving my son. I'm not forcing him to be vegan. A lot of people assume this. Not at all. If when he's, a few years older and he asks to try what his dad's eating, if he wants Brazilian barbecue, I'm not going to say no. He can absolutely eat it, but I want to give him the choice, because for me personally, that's all I ever wanted as a kid, a choice. So that's what I want to do for my children. And back to when you met me and when I was cooking for people. So behind the scenes, for years, I was bulimic. I was very unhealthy. On the outside, all this food, cooking, happy, but behind the scenes, I was very much struggling. It was more, it wasn't a self-conscious thing, like a lot of it is, unfortunately, with particularly women. It wasn't that at all for me. It was a control thing. I have ADHD. I've got things going on with my brain. I'm a creative. I think a lot of things. I think very quickly. At the time, I was doing all sorts of antics, I'm going to call it. Let's just say antics in my personal life. Some reckless things behind the scenes, and it was almost a way to control that. So I was controlling what I was consuming in a very obsessive, unhealthy way. But again, on the outside, I was cooking all these amazing meals for my friends, for my family. So on the outside, it looked like I've always had this passion, but there was a lot going on again behind the scenes. And the food that I was creating was wholesome. It was delicious food, but it also, there was processed elements. There were some artificial things here and there with, I've made some, I don't know if you were there when I made that green cake with the popping candy. It was delicious, delightful, but very much processed. It had whole food ingredients, but now I use things like blue spirulina powder, and I use all these other whole food natural ingredients that are much better for us. Still delicious, but much better. And it's made very consciously with the delicious. Again, taste is the number one thing, but keeping in mind as a medicine as well, because food is medicine. It is the original medicine. For the longest time in history, food was the medicine. And then pharmaceuticals popped up, which have their place. Pharmaceuticals, I won't crap on. They definitely have their place in the world. They, in fact, work very much in conjunction with plant-based medicine. I know many people who will take cannabis alongside other prescribed pharmaceuticals, and they work well together. It can even counteract some of the negative side effects you do get from man-made pharmaceuticals. So yeah, that basically summarizes it. So again, been vegan for a long time, but different versions of vegan, and there's a lot of different versions out there. But now it's a full focus on, of course, I still have that love for animals, but it's very much also about myself, about my health, about my well-being. In the beginning, it was not at all about myself or my well-being. So that is the main focus for me, arguably the biggest focus. It's the most important. I can't help anyone, any animal, anything in this world if I'm unhealthy, mentally, physically. So that is the most important thing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about your personal experience with that, but also touching in very important things that I hope might inspire our listeners to redefine even that label, vegan and everything that it could be beyond that,
Mm.
with informative choices, ethical choices, healthy choices. And well, in your personal experience, you had a full spectrum of all these type of way of connecting with a single decision that, although it was not impacting anymore on the animal wisdom, yet was reflected back to you on unhealthy veganism. So it's quite significant, I guess, the sharing that you do. And wow, every question that I have, like the answer blow my mind, because it opened a portal for me as well in certain information that myself also I don't have, and having it through you, through your experience is quite precious. So thank you so much for sharing with us all this beautiful knowledge. Is It's amazing. It's amazing to get to know you through your experience and through the profound wisdom that you have from my point of view. So I hope that you will see that wisdom in yourself too.
Oh, thank you, Dini.
And I guess that my next question is actually coming a little bit towards your project that you recently have developed, and see how this is still like an opportunity for you to nourish others through what you love, through wonderful taste, to wonderful vegan product that might not look like, might not taste like, but they
Mm.
are. And yeah, my next question for you is related with your project of Rawmera. If you can share with us how that idea started, and eventually even how it's developing right now.
Yes, Rawmera. So I think it's quite clear. Rawmera is a play off my name, Hemera. So yeah, wonder how I got that. So Rawmera is to be real food. It's real food, real ingredients. It's quite simple, really. I mean, it's mostly working with cacao. I do some desserts that are free from cacao because some people are sensitive to it. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful medicine, cacao. It's been used for centuries for healing and just a wide range of things. So I use that and a bunch of other whole food ingredients. And if you look back, things like real chocolate was always just cacao, maybe cacao butter and a sweetener, and a pinch of salt. Like that's what real chocolate always has been. It wasn't till it was fully westernized and things like milk powder and soy lecithin and different emulsifiers got chucked in there. And the whole taste of chocolate, everything's changed so much from different cultures, from different inputs over the years. So original food is very much like what Rawmera is. So I'm trying to bring that back basically. I'm not creating anything new. These foods have been around for a very long time. I just want to try bring that back. It's also so you can indulge completely knowing that these foods are good for you. It is medicine. It tastes delightful. I don't actually market it super hard as vegan. I do mention plant-based quite a lot, purely because a lot of people will read the words vegan and freak out. It is, especially with the older generation, they'll see the words vegan and be like, oh, absolutely not. I don't want to eat lettuce. I'm like, none of my desserts contain lettuce. It is very indulgent. It's very decadent. No worries. And I have tested it on my parents, my grandparents. They absolutely love it. So another thing again is to be inclusive. There's always family, friends. One will be peanut free. One will have a gluten allergy. One will have an egg allergy. So it's so that everyone is catered to, and they are very common allergens. Most people are lactose intolerant. The majority of humans are lactose intolerant, and same with having peanut allergies is a big thing. I'm very strong on the peanut free part of Rawmera for multiple reasons. I really want to touch on this quickly because a lot of people ask why I don't use peanuts at all. So not just being one of the biggest allergies in the world, most people who think they have a peanut allergy do not have a peanut allergy. They're reacting to the fungicides that are inside the peanuts. So basically, to make it very, very simple, is peanuts grown in the ground and they are a sponge. They absorb everything around them. They're a very unique nut. Tree nuts don't do this nearly as much as peanuts, where they just absorb everything around them. And the majority of peanuts grown in this world are non-organic. So in the ground, to keep away pests, they use fungicides, and fungicides is poison. It is just straight poison. And the side effects to fungicides happen to be the exact same side effects as peanut allergies. People who have a sensitivity to these fungicides might find they will have hot flushes, their skin will flare up, their eczema, their psoriasis will suddenly flare up. They might get a swollen lips, tongue, throat. That's a reaction again to fungicides. Again, people do have severe peanut allergies to the actual nut itself, but on the flip side, they could also be reacting to the fungicides, which happen again to have the same side effects. So I'm very much against peanuts. If you do feel the need to eat them, I love peanut butter. A bit of hypocrisy coming out here. I love peanut butter. So when I feel the need to eat peanut butter, I will always buy organic. I know it's difficult to buy organic, especially in New Zealand. It's so expensive in comparison. But if there's one thing you really need to buy organic, it's peanuts. And I could talk about this for days. It's very interesting. Pesticides in general, but fungicides are just terrible, terrible for your health. And sorry, back to Rawmera and what Rawmera is. So my little slogan for Rawmera is Raw Dessert Luxury. So the reason I've put luxury in there is for one, it is also art. It is food, of course, but food can also be art. Art can also be food. So I really put a lot of time into the aesthetic of it, really. So I like to make delicate, gorgeous molded chocolates and customized cheesecakes made from cashews and pure coconut cream. And I love to bring out my creative side in my desserts, and also to have a personal touch. I will make tempered chocolate. I hand temper all of my cacao. I get a lot of my cacao from Julia, who just is incredible, incredible lady, as you already know. And the thing with cacao and with food in general, it really makes a difference where it's from. So this is an interesting topic. So you can have cacao paste from a general supermarket that you find, and then you have cacao paste from Julia. Now, they might have the exact same ingredients, but of course the taste, cacao beans, as we know, is like coffee. The taste of bitterness and the different notes in cacao vary. There's hundreds of varieties out there. It's very diverse, the different tastes you get from cacao beans. But I mean the feel you get from it. So the intention of how it was made really does impact. Not everyone picks up on it, but a way to put it simply, if you get a massage, for example, and you get a massage from a big massage chain, and they might be putting all the right pressure points and, doing a good job, but it still doesn't feel nearly as good as a loved one, a friend, a family member who gives you a massage, again, puts all the pressure in the right places, is delightful, but they're doing it with love. The massage chain is not doing it with love at all. So, and you feel that, the difference. And the one done with love, made with love, is far more enjoyable, far more beneficial than the one that isn't. And the same goes with food. So people who make this food with good intentions and with love is not just better tasting, it's better for your health. And that's the simplest way to put it. I can go more in depth, but I'll just keep it simple. I don't want to ramble too long about that. So that's why I'm very careful about where I source my ingredients, not just being organic and free from all these harmful chemicals. It's who's making it, who's producing it is just as important. And that's another point of difference with Rawmera, is where I source all my amazing ingredients. Also, I do enhance some of my desserts with, I have lightly mentioned nootropics, What are nootropics? So a simple way to put this is they're cognitive enhancers. So they improve different mental skills. It's a very diverse range of medicinal substances, whether that be natural or unnatural, that are studied to improve mental skills such as thinking, learning, focus, and memory. So I can give you the number one nootropic used worldwide very regularly is caffeine. So there's mixed reviews on caffeine, but caffeine is an incredible nootropic. It is proven, as almost all of us know from personal experience, to give you energy, to increase your energy. That is an example of a nootropic. Now, nootropics that I use, of course, cacao does contain caffeine, so that's a nootropic in itself, but I add into my chocolates ashwagandha powder. Ashwagandha is from a root primarily found in India, and it's been used in Indian culture for centuries as a medicine, mostly to reduce stress. It reduces stress by relaxing your mind and relaxing your body. So yeah, it can help with stress and anxiety, improve sleep, improve memory, and much, much more. Ashwagandha root. It's an incredible, incredible medicine that has been used for a very long time. And then I also I'm coming out actually with an ebook very soon. It's going to be Rawmera infused. Now, a lot of people already know this about me. I love food and cannabis. Cannabis is my favorite nootropic. It is my favorite plant-based medicine. I've used it for a long time for many things. I mean, sure, recreationally as well. I'm not going to lie. It's great. I don't drink alcohol personally, but I do love some cannabis recreationally. But the main reason I do use it is medicinally. It's the only thing in this world I've found to prevent and help my migraines. There's nothing else that will help that. That's a hereditary condition that I have passed on through from my mother's side of the family. A lot of us get it when we hit puberty. We might get a few a year, but when we get them, it is completely debilitating and one of the most painful things I can possibly go through. So I use it primarily for that, but also general stress. We are living in very stressful times around the world. There's a lot going on. It's very intense. A lot of it is very dark. And cannabis can be used as a tool and a medicine to help with that, not to solve it. It's never, plant-based medicine can be seen as an aid to help you heal yourself. So by helping with your stress levels, by helping with your sleep, then your body does the rest. You do the rest. You sort out what's happening in your life, but you just use this as a tool to help you get to that place. And that's what I use cannabis for. So I'd like to teach people, because in New Zealand right now, medicinal cannabis is legal through a prescription from either your doctor or a specialized clinic. There's quite a few popping up now. So a lot of GPs, however, you have to be careful, aren't educated on plant-based medicine, or they will have a personal prejudice against it. It is a thing we are pushing through because there's a lot of opinions about cannabis. So we are working through that. A lot of people mostly, though, aren't educated, and that's the thing. That's what we want to do, is educate people on cannabis. So I'd like to teach those who have a prescription for this to infuse it into food. Most people would smoke it, and that's fine. I personally am trying to reduce my smoking now that I'm training a lot more at the gym. I'm doing a lot of intense training, and I have found, in all honesty, that by smoking every day, I do notice it's not helping me. It's not helping me with my workouts. So I've started infusing it into cacao and then using that cacao butter to make desserts. And by having it that way, I still get all the range of benefits, but it protects my lungs. It keeps my lungs nice and happy, and that is important. So I'd like to teach those with the prescription to do that. And for those friends and family who have an active prescription, and it is legally prescribed, and they get me to use their prescribed cannabis and make it into a dessert, that is perfectly legal, and I will do that for them. So that's why you might see some things on Rawmera's Instagram that will have, some cannabis in the background and some chocolates. I am within my right to do that. It is legal. People may have personal views on that, and that's perfectly fine. Again, most people just need to learn more about it. It's a stigma that has been created and has continued throughout the years. So once we educate and teach people about it, that stigma will eventually fade out. Yeah, so basically that is Rawmera. It's real food, it's luxury food, it's artistically handcrafted, hand-tempered desserts.
Wow, it's a whole world, and I'm so pleased that you took the time to dive into all the little aspect of it, especially the one related with cannabis, because as you said, it's something that contains still a lot of prejudice, and I can see that with my family as well. You know, I'm the so-called black sheep of the family, so it's something that I'm realizing more and more how much there is a lack of education around that, and giving us the opportunity through your sharing to expand possibly that understanding might make a difference in the way that we are perceiving and understanding things in a different way than the one that we might have perceived before this moment. So thank you so much for touching in all of this, even the peanut aspect. Like it's something that, you know, it's such a big thing, but mine not everyone know that peanut compared to other nuts are growing into the soil, and that definitely will make a difference in a way that they are absorbing everything, and then we are absorbing them, and noticing even how a different impact on our health might have the decision to eat one thing or the other. So thank you for touching on all the broad aspect that Rawmera has to give us, but also go beyond that, and supporting us to be more educated and possibly inspired to go more deeper into this type of understanding, whatever that might be for each and every one individual who might have listened to us up to this point, and see what else there is out there for us, including your product, and see how that could make a difference, even simply like in a birthday cake solution, and see how that could be an healthy choice that is not just like celebrating someone's birthday, but going a little bit deeper into a whole knowledge and wisdom that even just a cake might carry with itself.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm trying not to talk too quickly. I'm very, again, passionate about the questions you're asking, so I'm trying to slow down a bit. But it's absolutely my pleasure. I love to, because I've done so much personal study on these things. It's not just coming out of my ass. As such, I have studied this very in-depthly. I've practiced this. I've tried and tested this extensively, not just with myself, but with friends and family and colleagues even. So I know based on all of that research that it really does work, and it makes a difference in your life. By being aware is the number one thing. Education is so important. That's a starting point for anything, is education. And then starting to introduce these things into your life, you just have to see for yourself the difference it makes. Especially with the peanut thing, it can be so subtle as well. For me, I would eat non-organic peanuts and I'd get a stomach ache, and I'd get a headache, and it was all very subtle. It wasn't like a crazy headache or stomach ache, nothing to go to the doctor about, but it was uncomfortable, and it happened every time I had my non-organic peanut butter, and I just pushed it aside because it's so delicious, that I ignored it. But by swapping it out for organic, I straight away was like, oh, huge wake up call. It was very eye opening, and that's, I guess, another thing that led me down the path of learning about the different, sourcing your ingredients organically, it makes a huge impact.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. Something that is so subtle, as you said, that there are so many things that might affect the way that we are feeling, and we don't necessarily might relate it with food. But
Yeah.
actually, probably the last in our list of reason why we might experience certain uncomfortable feeling in our body. So absolutely, thank you for touching on that. and also to be so careful in the words that you're choosing, like choosing educating ourselves even with things that we might have prejudice for, and might not be necessarily that we open a book and we go and search online, but even to be open for someone like yourself that is sharing something that might not resonate with someone, and giving ourselves the possibility to just listen
Mm.
instead of wanting to react against what we are hearing, but giving us the possibility of just listening, and then deciding if we want to observe, if we want to let those words go and leave them aside. We might not feel ready yet, but just to be open to what others might have for us to offer, yeah, for us to offer, and see how that could play a different um, possibility for us in the way that we are just like agreeing or disagreeing, but with the possibility of at least listen and see how that could also be intended as a way of being educated in something that we not be familiar with. So absolutely grateful for all that you share, especially related with delicate topics such as cannabis, knowing that anyway New Zealand, as many other countries, had opened at least a little door for people to access through the GP, through other sources, the possibility of implementing them into their life for their health, and see how that could play a different and important role for themselves as well. So yeah, wow. So pleased that all this knowledge has been shared so far. And I guess that my next question for you is more like a open question to see if there is anything else that you wish to add to what we've been sharing that we might not have touched yet, and you feel that it could be still relevant and important for the space that we have available.
Okay. I think my most important message and goal really is that we just need to look after ourselves more and more. So the nutrients that we used to get from food, even a few decades ago, is different to what we're getting now. Even plant-based food, fruits, vegetables, soil has been turned over so many times. There's a lot less nitrogen in the soil. Vitamin B12 has been wiped from soil. That's where we used to get B12 from, is from the ground. And now we have to get it from fortified foods or just supplement it somehow because we don't get it naturally. So we're living in a world now where we need to be mindful because it starts very subtle with a lot of people, and they might not realize how ill or not great they're feeling because they're so used to it, or that just might be their normal throughout their whole life because that's what they have nothing to compare it with. But by just making, and they are little changes, really. It doesn't have to be this expensive thing either. Because I understand with the economy right now, we're just trying to survive. We're on a budget. We're trying to make it work. But it's little changes, being mindful about what you're putting in your body. And that doesn't necessarily mean just buying organic. It can mean reducing the heavily processed food, like even cereals. Cereal is something that is pushed so heavily in New Zealand. It's like the norm is for breakfast to have cereal. But it's one of the worst things. It's just so processed. Nowhere in nature would and our ancestors eating cereal. You're much better off having sourdough, having bread for breakfast. Fruits are ideal, but just avoiding that heavily processed crap. And seeing how you feel, because I can say all these words, I can say all these studies and whatnot, but it's irrelevant to most people. It's just words. Actions will always be louder than words. So you need to try it for yourself and see how you feel. So that's the main thing. There's just so much going on in this world right now where we need to prioritize our families, our health, in order to keep going. We're in a very work-heavy world where we're burnt out. Most people are burnt out, and when you're burnt out, you're more susceptible to sickness. So you want to build your antibodies, you want to build your immune system, and you do that with food. So it is important, arguably the most important thing.
Wow, yeah, absolutely. And I truly resonate with what you were sharing also about how different the food is from just like 20 years ago. And I can totally see that even as an Italian, our main consumption is pasta.
Yeah.
And recently that I went back to see my family, I noticed how that has impacted me heavily. That is the number one food to eat every single day, no matter if it's lunch or dinner. At least
Mhm.
once a day, pasta needs to be there. And I was trying to make my family understand that although for them it's still a nourishing food that does have nothing um, wrong and is healthy. I was trying to argue the fact that maybe when my parents were younger, the soil was different, the grain and then the flour was made in a different way than the one that now is made with, and the fact that is like even just big corporation that are
Mhm.
exploding outside in the whole world. It truly makes a difference in the way that we are. Yeah, it's the same product from the outside, but what is actually on the inside? What is the journey
Mhm.
from where it started to arriving to our table? And that it works with any kind of food. Like for me, of course, as an Italian, pasta might be like the main thing that I notice, but that is relevant with any other food, as you mentioned also. Cereal for breakfast for New Zealanders, and that it goes on and on for any type of food, as well as for meat, as well as even for lettuce. Like you were sharing earlier of the misconception of vegan and eating just lettuce. But even that lettuce, how different it is from
Oh,
growing it into your garden than to go and buy it in the grocery shop. It's a thing that although we are living in such a busy and extreme lifestyle nowadays, if we could have that moment for ourselves to acknowledge even just like the list of the ingredient when we buy a product or deciding where we wish to buy our fruit and vegetables will definitely make a difference in the way that we are nourishing ourselves, and that comes also with those little decisions that we are making.
absolutely. And it's an important note, it's not about cutting out any food. You don't have to lose your cultural food, your favorite foods, at all. It's about increasing your nutrients, increasing your vitamins, increasing your minerals. That's the thing. And Italy's such a good example, actually, because there's a documentary about this. The amount of people who will eat pasta in America, in North America, and think they're allergic to gluten, they'll have bloating, they'll be uncomfortable. But then they go to Italy and they have real pasta, real bread, and they're perfectly fine because the wheat flour, particularly in the United States, is so bleached, is so stripped of its nutrients, is so excessively processed that that's what they're reacting to. And there's not those enzymes, there's not those nutrients in the pasta that help break it down with your microbiome. You don't have that with the pasta and the food in the United States. So for me, if I, eat packet pasta from a supermarket in New Zealand with just bleached wheat flour, I will get bloating, my skin will break out, and I'll feel terrible. But I will also hand make, I'm sure it's not as good as yours, but Italian pasta. I make my own gnocchi. I make ciabatta. And I'm perfectly fine when you use real ingredients and make it. You ferment it for a couple of days, the bread. It's a slow process to make bread. It always has been. It's more than a day to make real bread, but now they make it in a matter of minutes. You make all these loaves of bread in minutes, and that's not natural. That's not at all what traditional Italian food is. So that's a very interesting note. A lot of people think they're gluten intolerant, but they just have never had real gluten. They've not had real pasta ever. But again, with your family, for example, they can keep eating their real pasta, but increasing their nutrients in other ways, having more infused foods, more natural supplements, nootropics, vitamins, minerals, increasing those, you can continue eating your Italian pasta. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much for the news. I will mention that to my parents, but I'm also aware that depending on sometimes the brand, as you're saying, choosing carefully what we wish to eat. For example, for you is in the case of the peanut butter. For me, is in the case of pasta here in New Zealand to be
Yeah.
really careful in what I buy to know which product it could be healthier for my health without like negating that plate of pasta that I so long for someday. So yeah, like informing once again ourselves and making conscious decision in the way that we are wishing to nourish ourselves through the food that we are eating. Absolutely agree with that. And on the side note, I'm like the Italian that doesn't know how to cook. So I believe that your ciabatta, your gnocchi might be
Uh,
way better than mine. I'm a eater lover, but not exactly a cooker lover. So
Sorry,
uh,
that was an assumption. Most Italians I know
mhm.
love to cook.
I love to eat, which is still
Yeah,
a thing. It's still a thing. But cooking, well, I don't know. I don't know exactly if it's my passion, but it's so lovely to see how that passion, your passion, reflect on me and yeah, make me feel like so great to know that in your case, especially cooking is your form of art, and that is so beautiful. Like even when we are thinking about art, we are just limiting ourselves to drawing and the idea that that is the way of making art. But in your case, you are like the a live example that art can also be connected with something different, such as cooking, such as preparing something that taste delicious and look amazing as well, look beautiful. So thank you so much for yeah, expanding in all these possibilities of how we can connect with ourselves, how we can connect with creativity, how we can connect with our health and deciding what is best for us. And just each and every one of us might know. And even if we don't know, we are offering here a possibility to see what else could be implemented in our life. And I guess that arriving at this point, I might have my final question for you, which, as you know, I kept it as a secret so that there was no need to prepare. And possibly with the old sharing that we did already, might have touched on this
and this,
final question. I don't know if this it could be like as terrifying as who is Emira. So just
yeah,
like
it is a terrifying one.
so leave it up to you to see how this resonate with you with no limits as well in your sharing. But my final question is just an opportunity for you to share once again something that could be powerful. Um, and the idea is to share with us, but also as a reminder for yourself, three empowering messages that you wish to dedicate to us today. And yeah, as I mentioned, it could be also a reminder for yourself. And it doesn't matter how small or big those messages are. And if you feel that three is too much, just even one would be fine.
Okay, no, I'm going to give you three. Okay. Okay. First one is life is a mirror. So, what you do throughout life is quite often reflected back at you. It bounces off what I was touching on earlier about your mental state, your physical body, and how that affects your mental well-being, your mental health, and how your mental health is reflected back at your physical body. It's debatable which one is easier to maintain, to work on. It's very debatable, but for me personally, um, there's a lot going on upstairs in my mind. So personally, physically is easier to maintain. And again, life is a mirror. So you can take that and know that yourself, use that knowledge, work on your physical body, work out, move your body, go outside, go for a walk. Do what a lot of good Italians do. Go for a walk before your dinner and go for a walk after your dinner. It is so good for you. And by looking after little changes, I'm talking about small adjustments in your life, will improve your well-being. And if you take care of your physical body, take care of what's going into your body, the food you eat, it will undoubtedly be reflected in your mental health, and it will improve your mental health. If you're physically well, you just have to be mentally well. It does reflect, and vice versa. If you're mentally well, your physical body will follow. Your mind is a powerful, powerful tool. Use it. If you don't know how to use it, then the first thing is you can control what you eat. It's a very simple step. Start there. It's a great starting point to overall well-being. So that's my first message, is life is a mirror. Use it as you will. Look after yourself. Second one is intentions. Your intentions with yourself, with life, with your family. Your intentions are so important. The way you live your life, you spend time around good people, good energy, those who you share a meal with. Again, small things in life you sit down and share food with impacts, again, your well-being. So be careful about who you're around, what your intentions are. If you have good intentions filled with love and light, then that needs to be reflected with the crowd you're around, because unfortunately we are in a world, a very mixed world, where if you have these good intentions but you're in a room of people who do not, then they can take that energy from you and it can affect you greatly. So surround yourself with love. Just surround yourself with love, set good intentions, set goals. And again, a great starting point with that is your physical body is through food, is through medicine, plant-based medicine particularly. And my final message, it's an inspiring one. It's simple but also confusing. I get it from my husband. Life is a circle. So what you put into life, what you put out in life, what you do in life comes back. It always comes back to you. Life is a circle. It's very important to note. So again, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. It will reward you. It will come back. Whether you call that karma, there's so many words for it, but it's all the same thing. Karma, divine intuition, God, it's the same thing. Life is a circle. So look after yourself, take care of others, and check out Rawmera. Check out Rawmera, have a look at my desserts, and even not just a blatant pushing of my brand, but to inspire you to create your own desserts. Again, I'm coming out with an ebook, so you don't even have to buy any of my desserts. You can just see how I make them and make them for yourself. Source them from your own local ingredients in your area, in your country, wherever you may be, and be inspired to create your own medicines, your own creations. Absolutely, I'm all for that. I'm not trying to withhold my knowledge or my recipes. I would love to share that with everyone. So I hope people are inspired by what I do, because I want them to learn to do it for themselves. Because you can't just be a consumer your whole life, a blind consumer. You need to learn how to fend for yourself, to create for yourself, for your family. It's the ultimate way of living, is learning to create. Even if you hate cooking, it could just be, Rawmera isn't cooked, nothing's cooked anyway. It's all raw. It's just, you get a food processor, you get a blender, and that's all you need. A fridge would be ideal, a freezer, but you don't need all this fancy equipment. You don't even need to cook. So yeah, I think there's something there for everyone. And it's just, again, education, and just learning new things, and hopefully in the process discovering yourself, and just your health.
Wow, thank you so much, Hemera. This is so inspiring, even for me. The last bit, especially the not loving how to cook, but give it a go to extend to something that could be anyway a form of art, and a way of dedicating time to ourselves through that type of creation. So I truly resonate with all of them, and this final one especially, I felt there was like a call to action for me especially. But so far, I would like to thank you for all that you dedicated to us today, for all your sharing, all your wisdom, all your inspiration, knowing that all the link to get in contact with you will be available in the description of this episode. So for those who haven't not yet, not even seen how Rawmera look like, in form of those delicious beauty dessert, I will definitely invite you all to go and check it out. But also, if you wish to connect straight away with Hemera and possibly like finding your own way to be even more supported and inspired by her, because wow, you are such a beautiful soul, Hemera, and I wish for everyone to not just be inspired by your word, but truly put into action into those little bit of conscious choices that we can make for ourselves through your words, through your inspiration, through your art, through your deliciousness, into any possibilities that people can get to know you better and get to know themselves. I invite everyone to do so. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Hemera, for your time. I really, really appreciate this opportunity to get to know you better, and I'm feeling so blessed. Like I feel that I gained so much knowledge in this such a short time together. I feel like wow, uh, fulfilled with joy.
Oh, thank you so much, my beautiful friend. That is lovely to hear. That is again just my intentions, as I just want to share with the intent to help. That it's very simple. I'm not trying to. I mean, I do gain from it, of course. I like to please. I like to cater to people, and it really warms my heart to see others' lives improved. So that is the main goal: to share the love, work together, build together, collaborate together, like we're doing right now. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Grazie mille. I'm gonna say it in Italian too. And I wish for everybody who have listened to this episode to keep on being inspired by Hemera's voice, by Hemera's messages, but also be inspired by your own life and see how you could definitely make an impact into your own journey as well. So in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day and see you soon. Bye.
Grazie per averci fatto compagnia. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. If you wish to stay updated and connected, visit us on our social media channels and our website www.artyoga.co. Ci sentiamo presto. Ciao! See you!